first watch of The Prestige, yes. And I was like, bitch, excuse me? What? Aren't you trying to go on a date with me? Is this how you think you're gonna do it? Because it's not working. But yeah, so, something like that, which was like, oh my god, this guy is unbearable, and I never talked to him again. And Interstellar, the reason why I hate this movie, first of all, it's just bad movie. The story, it was a disappointingly bad movie because the Hans Zimmer soundtrack is actually very good. Like, I listened to the soundtrack.
we can almost always expect Hans Zimmer to pull through.
Yeah, he'll pull through.
I said almost always. I didn't say always. This is not delivers. John Williams I'm talking about.
Thank you.
I said almost always.
Almost always, yes. Okay, I'll agree with you on that. And he is certainly a trendsetter in terms of defining what music Hollywood is going to start sounding like. Which cannot negate him for that. I also think Hans Zimmer's a little overrated, but that's okay. His music is still good. Interstellar soundtrack was like nothing he'd ever done before. It was gorgeous. It was simple. It was orchestral. It was like, finally, like, this is what I've been waiting for from Hans Zimmer. It's got the layers. Like, I loved it. I used to listen to the soundtrack over and over and over again before I watched the movie because I loved it so much. And I got really hyped for this movie.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I got so hyped for this movie.
Oh,
and a coworker of mine, and like I read the synopsis too, and I liked the synopsis. I was like, oh, I like this short, simple story. I like it. It's like some like sci-fi like short story sort of thing. I get it. It's cool. I'm all about it. And then I told my friend I wanted to watch, and he was like, no, Corinne, Interstellar is a bad movie. I hate that movie. And I was like, really? I love the soundtrack. I like the story. Maybe it's the execution. He's like, I promise you, Corinne, it is so bad. And I was like, okay. And then like 5 months later, I watched it with my now ex. And I remember my experience watching it. I was just like thinking like, I don't know about that, but I'm still rooting for this movie. I was rooting for that goddamn movie the whole time. And I was like, the soundtrack is hitting. Like, I don't know about this, but I'm still rooting for it. It hasn't lost me yet. It's slow and it's kind of boring, and but this doesn't make sense. But I'm still going for it. Still rooting for it. And then this one fucking scene, ruined the whole, shat on the whole movie, shat on my whole expectation. I watched. I was like, excuse me? I'm like, this, no.
Yes?
Bad movie. Terrible movie.
Bad
Shit
movie.
movie.
Bad. Go in the corner. Think about what you've done.
10 minutes ruined the entire 2.5 hour movie for me, and I was just sitting through the remaining like 25 minutes like, please be over. And I got into an argument with my ex about the movie because he really liked it, and he pulled the whole like, you just didn't get it, Corinne. The science was so right, Corinne. Like, you're just hung up on this other stuff. You just want some commercial Star Wars big budget movie, and this isn't it. It's too realistic and sciencey for you. That's why you don't like it. I'm like, no, redacted. It is a bad movie. We've argued about that movie so many times. Like, it is so, I hate that movie so much. And now whenever I talk about it, I tell them why I hate it, and everybody's like, oh, I see your point. And if they don't see my point, it's because they just don't understand good storytelling and narrative and like good scripts. And yeah, anyways, it's a bad movie, and I cannot wait to tell you more about why it is bad. So that's my experience with this movie. Let's watch the trailer.
Okay. Which trailer? I'm on the YouTubes. I got Interstellar movie, Interstellar official trailer 2, Interstellar official teaser trailer number 1.
Oh yeah, this is like a modern movie. We have like our pick of trailers.
Yeah, this is I think this is the newest one.
Let's do the Interstellar movie official trailer from Interstellar movie.
Okay. He's so skinny.
Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't ask me what I thought the movie was about.
Okay,
is that Timothy Chalamet?
Wait, is that Timothy Chalamet?
That white kid everyone has a hard on for, and I don't understand why. He's not attractive. I don't think he's that good of an actor, but whatever. Oh, it's that wife beater.
What wife beater?
The Affleck guy.
Really?
I remember seeing this trailer at the theaters and thinking that was the stupidest line ever. I'm gonna name my daughter after Murphy's freaking Law. Anything that can go
It is
wrong,
Timothy
go wrong.
Chalamet. You're right.
I
Good
told you.
eye.
Yeah. I can recognize a dumb white boy from miles away. Tell me, Michael Caine. I want to help. I'm only a farmer. Let me bring my daughter to this DOD NASA thing. That seems smart. Hope you don't love your dad, Murphy's Law. He's not coming back till you're like 40 and look like Jessica Chastain. Where's Anne Hathaway gonna come in?
Soon. She's right there, sinking in the water.
I bet she set that thing on fire. Space! We're by Saturn, Jupiter? There she is. Not enough to stay with her. It's like that story where it's like if one guy goes up to, like twins, and one goes up to space and one comes down.
Yeah.
You know, and one is like, who feels that their life is lived better, whatever. And it's like, well, I lived a whole life and you were just up in space, you dumbass bitch.
Yeah. Okay. So, Monze, what do you think this movie is about? Having seen the trailer, which you had already seen prior.
I had already seen. I kind of know a little bit. I know that something, I don't know, it's probably like now, right? Everything sucks and the Earth is dying and they're like, we need to send somebody in space for a reason. I don't know why. And then I know he goes up and then when he comes back, his daughter is grown up and he like hasn't aged. That's all I know about this movie. So I'm going to assume, based off the trailer, I talked through all of it. I was not listening to again, it was not interesting. I'm going to say, so he's like a farmer, but he used to work for like he was a scientist or an engineer or something stupid. And then he's like, I got tired of this, so I'm going to go retire and live in a farm in Minnesota with my 2 kids. And then he's like, I love my daughter more than I love my son, but whatever. And then my wife is dead. And then he's he's orphaned his children. And I don't know. And then they're like, hey, you have to go do this thing. It's like Armageddon, where they send him off to space to blow up an asteroid, but instead to blow up an asteroid, they're like, go run through time and find like an alternate Earth universe and then bring that whatever science they have to make their Earth good and bring it back here. And then he's like, okay. And then Anne Hathaway's like, I'm just here to be the hot piece of ass that you deserve in space. And then they find it and they come back, but the Earth is worse off. And then he found out that he did this for nothing because they're all going to die anyway.
You got pretty close.
That for me is Interstellar.
All right, you're hitting those science fiction tropes. You got very close. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's pretty close. The ending's the only thing, and once you hear what the actual ending is, you're gonna be just as. Is that what I'm making him sad? Yeah. Okay. Can't wait. Okay. Timothy Chalamet was actually Matthew McConaughey the whole time. All right, so there is like a short plot on Wikipedia, and there is a longer one on IMDb. Yeah, I didn't watch this movie recently because I didn't want to put myself through that pain again. But
self-care is very important.
It is so important. So I'm going to go through, let's see. I'm going to use the IMDb one because that's a little more detailed and I can just pick and choose what I want. So, so yeah, we have Matthew McConaughey, Joe Cooper. Like you said, he used to be like an engineer. He was a NASA test pilot. Of course. He was apparently forced to give up his occupation to farm, so now he farms.
He was forced to?
That's what IMDb is telling me. I don't remember why he was forced to, but he's farming now with his 2 kids. He does love his daughter more than he loves his son. You're right. They farm corn because wheat and okra are extinct. Animals are all dead. It's like the 2060s in Colorado. There's a big famine. It's like the Dust Bowl all over again. So it's like some dystopian thing. Kids are tested to determine what occupations they will have.
Like Galaga.
Yeah. Like
Gattaca.
Gattaca. I was gonna say
Galaga's the video game. Like Gattaca, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like insignificant hoax stuff just to be like, oh, you know, it's a dystopia. US going to the moon was fake. Yeah. So they're like doing family stuff, and his daughter is named after Murphy's Law for some fucking reason. But then
because
like
anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yes. So basically,
It's one of the few things I remember from
Murph
physics.
thinks that there's like a ghost. Like I remember this.
It's her dad.
Wait, Monze. So Murph.
I called it her dad.
It is her dad.
Thank you.
It is her dad. So Murph thinks there's a ghost because there's like a dust storm, but then like when they go to her room, there's like 3 perfect lines in like the dust, and she's like, oh my god, there's like, I'm telling you, there's a ghost here, like my books keep falling off, and all this, and now there's like these like 3 lines here on my floor, like what's up with this? The father looks at the lines and he's like, wow, and he thinks the lines are binary. And he somehow makes the connection, it's binary, and not only that, they're coordinates. So he's like, all right, so he and his daughter drive out to where these coordinates are that the ghost put on the floor. So when they get there...
Why would you follow instructions? This is why white people are always in scary movies and they always die.
Yeah.
Because if it was me, if it was a Mexican, we would have, first of all, we would have been throwing some holy water all over that place. We would have brought the priest. We would put an egg under the bed and get that evil spirit out. And then we'd burn the house down and we'd never come back. And we tell our children and our children's children the story about this haunted house, how we're never going back there.
But
I don't care what I don't care what it looks like they did.
It's in binary, Monze. It's in binary. I don't even know how he found out it was in binary or not, but he's like, it's
he's
binary.
A scientist.
And it's coordinates. I'm like, wow, okay. But at this point, I was like, it's okay. I'm rooting for this movie. Rooting for this movie. So you asked, like, why did you bring your daughter to NASA? It's because they drove over there when they weren't supposed to, and they got tased.
Oh,
and he
to
wakes
get the
up,
coordinates.
and he's being interrogated by this like little metal robot thing called TARS, which is like those like puzzle blocks you give a kid.
My name is TARS. I am a robot.
I don't know. So then he's in this bunker. He meets his old boss, which is Michael Caine, and Michael Caine's daughter is Anne Hathaway.
Okay.
And they're like, how did you find this place on accident? And then Michael Caine's like, oh, a force brought him here. I'm a man of science, and I too believe in ghosts.
Haven't you ever seen Star Wars?
So they like tell him about the mission, which is basically what you said. They're gonna go through a wormhole near Saturn that will take them to like...
If this random guy shows up and he's like, a ghost told me to come here, I wouldn't be like, you know what? This is just a man for this mission. Let me tell you what we're doing here. I'd be like, no. Go away, arrest him, send him to a sanitarium. I'm sorry, Murphy, but you've been orphaned for a completely different reason. Your father is insane.
Well, it's like his old boss. His old boss is like, hey, I remember you, I fired you, but like now I need you.
What? Okay,
let me tell you about the secret mission.
Oh my goodness.
I need you to go through a wormhole to find these 3 potentially habitable planets. 2 of them are orbiting a supermassive black hole by Muse, named Gargantua.
So probably not those 2 then.
But no, you gotta check those 2 out too. Otherwise, we would have just gone with the 3rd one, and we wouldn't need to send someone out. We want you to check all 3 of these.
We need this movie to be 2 hours and 49 minutes. You're gonna go check out those other 2 planets. God damn it.
Yeah, I think like 10 years earlier, they had sent 12 people out to go check these different planets, and only 3 of them sent a thumbs up, which was like, these are good planets, like, come check on us. So the reason why they are telling Cooper this, Mr. Matthew McConaughey, is because he used to be a pilot, and NASA for some reason planned this despite having no pilots. And then a pilot stumbles upon, and they're like, "Hey, you're a pilot. Can you pilot this mission that we just told
Oh
you
my
about?"
God.
What would they have done if he didn't show up?
Well, someone would have found a ghost, and the ghost would have told him where to go.
Oh, so yeah, we're already. I can't believe I bought this, but yeah, we're already
I
going
can't
through.
believe I was here for the ride.
So there are two plans. Plan A is to get the centrifuge, the bunker that they're in, into orbit as a space station and rescue some people. They need the
Okay.
equation. Wait,
The
what?
binary thing that
They need an equation that will allow the scientists to overcome gravity and get the centrifuge into orbit. Plan B is to colonize the most habitable of the three planets along with a bunch of frozen embryos to repopulate the species. So he needs to pilot the stuff. Why are they talking about Plan A? I don't understand any of this. That for some reason they're like, oh, we're gonna get the centrifuge into orbit, and I guess they're thinking like, if we get this bunker into orbit, we can save the entire planet. But then Plan B is go find another planet with like less people to like repopulate it. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. I don't know why they need to get this thing into orbit, but they do. And the Earth is dying. And basically his
The third planet's their planet. Continue.
Michael Caine is guilting Matthew McConaughey into like piloting this, even though Matthew McConaughey has two dependents that depend on him. So they go back to the house. His daughter
Children
is
mean
mad.
nothing in the face of science.
Truly, the daughter's mad because she's like, "You're gonna leave me," and he's like,
Yep.
"Yes, I am." And she's like, "You don't love me," and he's like, "No, that's not
Yep.
true." And he's like trying to like comfort her. He gives her his watch. She's like, "No, I hate you." She's also like, "Oh, my ghost is telling me stay. The ghost is talking to me in Morse code, which I magically know because I'm a nerd just like my father, and I'm able to like understand supernatural forces tapping as Morse code. I can just pick up on that, and what's more, translate it really quickly." She's like, "The ghost is telling stay. They want you to stay. You can't leave because my ghost is saying you need to stay. The very ghost that sent you to the place that is trying to send you off is now saying stay." And Matthew McConaughey's like, "Sorry, I gotta go because I have to save you because you live on this planet, and if I go, it'll help save the planet, and you're on it." And then she's like, "I don't want to say goodbye." And he leaves. And she's like, "Wait, JK, I want to say goodbye." But he's already leaving. And they don't turn the car around or anything for them to like.
And it's just her running behind the car,
She's just,
like,
yeah, she's like, ah. And I'm like, you can't just,
Dad!
like, you're not in a tight timeline. You can stop and like say goodbye to your daughter.
No,
Anyways,
he cannot.
Yeah.
He cannot say goodbye to her. He wants her to grow up a broken human being with having issues with closure, abandonment issues. He wants her to have unhealthy relationships and trust issues. I mean, if your daughter doesn't have any of those issues, you're not parenting right.
Truly, that is the way. So they go out into space. There's all this like extra stuff.
There's all this needless space stuff.
So they go through the wormhole, and then Anne Hathaway's like, "Oh, I reached out. It feels like I touched someone's hand. We'll revisit that in like an hour and a half." And then
it was her own hand.
Oh, maybe. So they decide to go to this guy Miller's planet first. I don't know who Miller is. One of the other people. They said they're like, we're just gonna stop for a little bit because if we stay too long, like an hour on this planet is like 10 years on the spaceship because of the gravity time displacement or whatever. It's like the time is relative because time is fake. You know, that sort of thing. They're like, if even though the planet is right here, the time because they're close to the black hole. Like they're on a planet that's close to the black hole.
Right, yeah.
So the guy who stays on the spaceship is like, he's going to experience
I've been alone for 10 years.
Pretty much. So they go to this planet, and it's just like all water. And they find the wreckage of the guy's ship, who apparently died and had arrived just an hour or two earlier, even though, oh, it's a woman. She sent the thumbs up beacon on Earth 10 years before. So they're like trying to get out, and then there's all these like waves and things.
Oh.
Like they're spending a lot longer on this planet than they needed to. In fact, 23 years have passed, and this poor dude, the black guy, has been waiting for them for 23 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god. I think they were arguing over which planet to get on or whatever, and I think Matthew McConaughey really didn't want to go to this planet because he was worried about like the time. He was like, it's gonna take too long, and then Anne Hathaway's like, no, we gotta check this one out or something. They're arguing about it. And then they go, and well, lo and behold, it does take too long. And this poor guy, he's got like gray hair and everything. He's like looking at them like, this guy has been alone, completely by himself for 23 years. Like that's that's criminal punishment right there in some countries. So
They'd be so mad.
Right?
I would murder them as soon as they got on the ship. I'd be like...
He says he had a couple stretches in cryo sleep, but he's pretty much been awake for like 23 years. So now it's the year 2090 on Earth. And then like Anne Hathaway's like, oh, at least my dad's still alive. And then they're getting like the messages from Earth that they can't send anything. And so like Matthew McConaughey is watching like 23 years of videos, and he's watching like his son is sending videos, his daughter sometimes sends videos, and like his son is like, clearly this is his father. He's like being sincere. He's like, hey, he's like giving his dad like all this. He's like, hey dad. Oh, it's Casey Affleck. There you go. He's like, here's what's going on. Like, there's this girl I really like. Here's your grandson. Like, oh, grandpa died. Like, and then he comes, at this point, he's also like, you know, dad, I think you're dead. Like, I don't know why I keep coming here. It's like really hard for me to do this. I'm not hearing anything from you. Like, he's breaking down. This guy's watching his son like break down. And then like his daughter is like still angry and mad at her dad. She's like 35 right now. And she like, she has like a live recording coming from her, but she still like is mad at him, and he's like, why are you mad at me? And she's like, you abandoned us, why do you think I'm mad at you? And he's like, ugh. So she's working now, she's a scientist, she's working in that NASA bunker, she's working for old Michael Caine.
Older Michael Caine.
Yeah, older Michael Caine. And they're still trying to figure out that equation to get the bunker up into the air. And he's telling like the girl, like, don't worry, your dad's getting the messages. They just can't send you anything. So now they have 2 planets left, and they only have enough fuel to visit one of them. Well,
of course. Because you wasted 23 years hovering around this one planet.
Yeah. So they one person wants to visit this one planet because the planet appears to be like more hospitable, but then the other guy wants to visit, Matthew McConaughey wants to visit this other planet because the beacon is still transmitting, like it's like active, so they're like, oh, he's still alive or whatever. So what's going on on Earth? Jessica Chastain goes back home. Her brother's a father. He's torching crop because of blight. They eat. The son has like this bad cough. Oh, like there's like the air.
He has
like,
he has COVID-19.
Yeah, the air is like really bad, and the son is like the son is suffering. So
put him out of his misery like one would a horse.
Oh my god!
Just take him out there and shoot him.
This is a child. So okay. They go to the planet that's still transmitting, Man's planet. Man is played by whomst? Matt Damon. Talk about a surprise. He wasn't even in the trailer. Dat Maimon. And then this planet is like completely...
When did The Martian come out?
Shortly after this movie. Like in
after? I was going to say this before? That'd be hilarious.
It would. But no, this one's after.
You're like, I went back and now I'm here.
So his planet is like an ice planet. Like you cannot live here. And like he's been in cryo sleep for over 35 years. But he's also lying to them. He's saying like, oh, it's like 80% of the Earth's gravity. There's like fresh water underneath or whatever.
He turned evil?
He turns evil. He turns evil. You find out he was like, this planet is not as hospitable. I just put the beacon on because I wanted somebody to save me because like I don't want to die here, which is like, oh, this is valid. We've been here
that's
35
not
years.
being evil.
And then Murphy finds out that the whole gravity plan to like get the little thing up and going around and save the planet is actually like they never thought that it was going to like actually happen.
What?
Yeah, like Matt Damon says the equation was solved long ago, but it was impossible before he even went on the mission. So that's also why he's so bitter. So he said the only way to ever get data would be to get inside a black hole, which is impossible without being killed. I don't know. They need to go into the black hole. No one's gonna do it. So they're like, oh, there's no way we can make this bunker get like elevate from the earth and like rotate around it or whatever they needed to do. And so Murph's like, oh my god, what? So the actual plan is just like everybody on Earth is going to die except for like the 50 or whatever like people that are in cryostasis on that ship that Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway have. Because the actual plan was like just find another planet so that we can start over because everyone on Earth is toast. So now they're dealing with that. But
why would you put all this money and funding into a project that was never going to work?
They put all the money into funding the Find a Planet project.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's like the plan B. That's the plan that's like actually viable.
That's the one they're doing.
Yeah. The plan A was to save the actual planet Earth, which
but
is...
it's like, okay,
but they're
it's
missing...
just like, we'll say this is a plan so we can...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that mass panic doesn't break out because like plan A is about saving the actual planet Earth, but they can't get the data without going into a black hole, which is a suicide mission. So they're like, we'll just yeah. But then like
Matthew McConaughey has nothing to live for. He doesn't have children, so I think we should send him in.
Pretty much. So and like the brother finds out that all this stuff is out. Like if people are fighting in this paragraph. Matt Damon is trying to kill them and go back because he's off his marbles. He's been delusioned and disillusioned, and he's like every man for himself because they sent me out here on a suicide mission. They sent me to like a bad planet, and I don't want to die like this. There's all this weird character stuff that doesn't really matter. She's trying to say
character, Corinne.
Yeah, she's trying to say like, oh, Dad never meant to save them. He just wanted to escape and leave the planet and leave everything up to me. I have to like fix all this problem. I didn't want to fix this problem, yada yada. And like her brother is like, I still need to take care of the farm. I promised Dad I would take care of this farm, yada yada. So the remaining two people, well, like one person died on the water planet. The last person, the poor guy who was on the spaceship for 23 years, he gets killed by Matt Damon.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he was trying to get data from the Matt Damon's robot, which was booby trapped. And then their good robot comes out of the rubble because Matt Damon like tried to like kill the good robot, but he couldn't. I think there are two robots. I don't know. There's this stuff's going on.
What?
So they're fighting with Matt Damon on Ice Planet, basically.
Okay.
And then there's family drama happening, and Jessica Chastain's sitting in her bedroom thinking about the ghost and all that stuff, and she's reflecting on her life. And Matt Damon eventually dies.
Good.
Yeah. But now there's like some damage to the ship. They can't go back to Earth. They have to go to Edmund's planet because they're going to slingshot around the black hole in order to make it to Edmund's planet and on manual controls. So, because like they're like, we can't go back to Earth. We don't have enough fuel. We're gonna fly really close to this black hole and slingshot where we need to go.
Okay.
But then,
all right.
Then what happens?
Great plan.
Yeah. So here's where shit hits the fan and where I get really angry at this movie.
Okay.
Matthew McConaughey and one of the robots, for some reason, they eject themselves from the spaceship to make it lighter so that Anne Hathaway can get to the planet that they need to get to. And they go into the black hole also to try to find, like, the data. Allegedly. They go into the black hole. Matthew McConaughey is like, this is the thing I just like, I only rewatched the scene that I really didn't like, and I found like the 2 like 5-minute clips, and it just reminded me why I hate this. So they're like, they go into the black hole, and the whole time the movie is just like it's acting like a movie. They're expecting you to keep up. You know, the dialogue works for the story, and they're just he's taking you for the ride. The minute he gets into the black hole, he wakes up, he falls into a tesseract. Like mathematically, it's like a 5-dimensional sort of object, you know. It's just like this cube within a cube within a cube within a cube sort of thing.
Okay.
The dialogue completely falls apart, and it's just exposition town. They're like, all right, the audience is not going to understand this, so we're going to have the robot tell us what's happening. And what the robot tells Matthew McConaughey is, oh, they rescued us. And Matthew McConaughey's like, huh? And the robot's like, oh, these like 5th-dimensional beings rescued us, and they put us here, and they put us here for a reason. We're in a tesseract. It's like they were able to pause, like they're able to find a moment in time and put us in here. They put us in here like for a reason. They chose you or whatever. Like, this is like real dialogue. Like, he literally says this to Matthew McConaughey in the helmet. Like they're telling the audience what is happening, because Christopher Nolan couldn't find a way to just show it. So he's telling him that these 5th-dimensional beings picked them and put them in this tesseract. They built this tesseract for them. And Matthew McConaughey is like going around, and he's looking, it's like this weird like cube thing with like these string sort of things. And he's looking through, and it's his daughter's bedroom from the beginning of the movie. He's like banging on there, and the books fall off. Remember?
I need to draw 3 lines. I need to draw 3 ghost lines.
He's like yelling. He's like, Murph, Murph, like, it's me, your dad, Murph. And she's like, what's over there? And he's like, wow. And he's like trying to communicate with her, but it's the books, but she's also like a kid, so she doesn't know. And then like there's that scene where like the dad is like about to leave, and he's like, no, stay, you idiot, stay. And he's like punching like Morse code into there that says stay. And so he was the ghost telling her to tell him to stay
Stupid.
and not leave the earth. Oh my god, it's so so bad. He's like throwing like a tantrum here. Like, he's like screaming and everything, and because she can't hear it. The only way
like I like cry laughing. What's happening?
The only way he can interact with her is through gravity, which is why he's able to knock books off the shelf and like draw in the dust.
They should have named this movie Gravity instead of Interstellar.
So now he's talking to the robot, and the robot is like, they chose you, and Matthew McConaughey, like, they put us here. Matthew McConaughey's like, no, they didn't put us here. This can be any time and moment. This is this little girl's room. I was the one who like made this room. Murph, they chose Murph. Murph is the one who's supposed to save us. They knew that I love my daughter so much because they know the love I have for her is quantifiable. Love is quantifiable, Monze. It's quantifiable.
I want you to look at this graph of my exponential love for you. As you can see, it grows every day. I can chart this.
So
quantifiable? Love isn't quantifiable.
No, it is, because these 5th-dimensional beings picked him because they knew the bonds between him and his daughter was so strong that he was going to do whatever it took to like help her, and she was going to have this special connection with him because their love is so strong. It's quantifiable. It's the strongest thing. They picked her because they knew they checked the 3 billion remaining people in the world at this point, and were like, nah, man, these 2 people have the strongest love for each other. Fuck his son. Him and his daughter. They love each other so much. It has to be these two people, and it has to be her. And oh my god, because they also know she's going to end up being an engineer in the future. She's the chosen one. The chosen one. And that this mission is not a mistake. He's here. He's here because the fifth dimensional beings have the missing equation piece. And they're gonna tell him so he can tell his daughter in the future. Because he's been trying to talk to her in the past, and she's going to be able to put the dots together. That's the plan. So, because when
then why didn't you just make the movie about her?
I don't know. So, when she's 12, she puts the watch that her father gave her on the shelf. So now, Matthew McConaughey is like, we gotta give her the equation. And the robot's like, oh, these fifth dimensional aliens have that equation. They've got it right here. You need to give it to her.
Just carve it onto your watch.
And Matthew McConaughey is like, give it to me in binary.
Because my daughter loves that binary shit.
And the robot is telling it to him, and he's like got the string, and he's like tapping it, and it's somehow the second hand on the watch is ticking in binary or in Morse code.
Okay.
It's in Morse code. And he's like, dot dash dot dot dash dot dash dash dot dot dash. Like it's like they're sending an equation in Morse code. And in the current time, Murph is an adult. She's in that house reminiscing. They need to leave because there's like a fire coming. She needs to leave. She goes to the bookshelf, and the robot's like, how do you know she's going to know it from the watch? And he's like, because I gave it to her. She goes over to the bookshelf. She gets the watch. Now, like, I could believe someone goes back to their childhood home, finds the watch their father gave them. She's accepted that my father is dead. She picks up the watch to bring home. I can buy that. That makes sense. But she's looking at the watch. She sees the second hand twitching. And in 2 seconds, puts together that it is not only is it ticking in Morse code, but it is the missing equation piece that she's been working for 20 years on. And that her father is the one sending it to her. Right then and there.
Look, when you're a genius, okay?
That's where the movie completely lost me, because I was like, in what world would anyone make this logical leap of, wow, not only is my watch ticking in Morse code.
Their love is quantifiable.
But it's also the exact thing I need, and it's also this. She, like, hugs her father. She's like, the watch, it's Dad. Dad was my ghost all along. He's gonna save us. And then, oh my god, the stupidest scene in the whole movie. She goes to NASA. She's, like, writing down the Morse code in the watch, which I think is it's just perpetually just going to repeat this equation, right? It's just going to perpetually repeat it. How does she know when it's done or not done? I don't know. How do they make sure that the watch is able to tick this forever in a cycle? What if it was just a one and done thing? But no, the movie says it needs to be done so that she can write it down. So she transcribes the Morse code. I don't even know how you can put a mathematical function with a bunch of Greek symbols and stuff in it into Morse code, but she's able to do it. She erases the blackboard. She writes down the thing. She gets it. She's so happy. She has like the pile of papers. She's walking on the second level, which is like an open floor plan, and she shouts Eureka and throws the papers that are going to save all of them out onto everybody. And she throws the second half. I'm like, what? You need that. And she kisses the guy behind her. And she's like, it's tradition. I'm like, shut up.
Shut up, Jessica Chastain.
So now the Tesseract is closing up, and then Matthew McConaughey is like, I don't think these are just like all-powerful beings. I think these are future humans who built the Tesseract to put us in here.
What? I can't wait to become a fifth dimensional being. I can't wait to kidnap Matthew McConaughey.
So then he's...
You're just like losing it.
leaving the Tesseract, and he's like, his hands are out, and then it's like that wormhole moment where Anne Hathaway is like I felt someone's hand, and it was Matthew McConaughey's hand. But I was in the past and I was in the future. Time isn't real. And then he's just floating in Saturn.
In Saturn?
He's floating near Saturn, and the ship picks him up. So they pick him up. He wakes up. The doctors are like, you're 124 years old, but you still you're 35. And they're like, we saved you. And he's like, where am I? And they're like, you're on Cooper Station, orbiting Saturn. And they're like, it's named after your daughter, Murph Cooper. She's still alive, but she's 90 years old. Because they got Plan A to work. The gravity equation was solved.
I got that.
So they're in this circular space station thing, and there's trees and shit. It's if Earth was what's a torus or whatever, like an inflatable tube sort of thing. It's like a circle, like a donut shape. That's what Earth looks like now, because that's what the space station is. So now Matthew McConaughey, he's like, oh, I need to go see Murph. I need to go see my daughter, but she's an old woman, and he goes to find her. She's an old lady, and she's like, hey, Dad, don't worry about me, because he's like, I'm so sorry I left you there, yada, 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 I want to, and she's like, don't worry about me, I have a family.
Don't worry about me, I have a family. I don't... Okay.
Yeah, she's like, I got to live my life. I don't want you to see me die. My kids are here. I forgave you. I made peace with you forever ago. I just accepted that you just come back whenever. He's like, I was the ghost that told you. And she was like, I knew. No one believed me, but I knew it was you. She's basically like, go live your life. I lived mine. And he's like, okay. And then the Edmonds planet is the one that Anne Hathaway got sent to in the... I think Edmonds is her ex-boyfriend or whatever, which is why she wanted to go there. And he died, but the planet is habitable. So now Matthew McConaughey's like, well, I'm just gonna go find Anne Hathaway now. So that's how the movie ends. That's the movie. That's the movie. And Christopher Nolan said he wrote the main script, the story down in a day, an hour. I believe it. The core of it, the idea of a father talking to his daughter through beyond the scope of time and dimensions and all that, I like that idea. I like the idea of him communicating to her through that. The Tesseract idea is a cool idea, but the execution and the why and the how and everything is just so stupid. And the dialogue, they literally just went, we need to explain everything that's going on right now because the audience is not going to know. And the shift is just so obvious. It's bad. It's bad dialogue. They're just telling you they're just explaining the movie to you right there. And it's shitty and it's terrible. And I'm like, if you cannot show me what's going on without point blank telling me, then you need to rethink this, that's not a good script. It's when you're reading 1984 and you get to the moment where you're like, oh, the author's talking to me now. He's done with the story at this moment. He's just telling me what his opinions are. But he's doing it through oh, let's read a book written by this guy. And it's oh, an excuse for me to tell my opinions. That's what this was like. Where it's oh, we need to explain what's going on right now. So the movie is just... wow. The code that has evaded us for so long is being told to me in my father's watch that I happen to pick up in Morse code, and I understand it and know it immediately, and I also know it's my father telling me from this exact very moment. That is not a logical leap you could take.
It is if your love is quantifiable.
Yeah. So that's Interstellar.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
I can see why I was never interested in it, so still not interested. Yeah, I'm not big on like deep space movies. I watch Star Wars, like, yeah. But like when they try to make it bigger than it is, it's like, why? Like, I get why, but it's just like if I wanted to watch a drama, I wouldn't turn to sci-fi for it. You know what I'm saying?
I can see what you're saying.
Um, but I mean, if the whole point of the movie is sort of about her, then the movie should have been about her.
Yeah. I think it would have hit differently if she was the main character and the main point of view the entire time. We don't see what the dad is up to in space. Like the ocean planet is pointless. It's cool, but it's pointless. It's just like, ooh, time is relative. Sometimes because of the black hole, you go somewhere for an hour and somewhere else is 23 years. Like, okay. Like I get it. We know that. And then like all that stuff is kind of just him in space, but it could be compelling seeing her, following her as like a character study. How do you deal with your father leaving you? What are your stages of grief? What is your relationship with your brother like? Why did you choose to pursue engineering even though that was what your father was doing? Like, and then
I mean, and plus the stakes would be higher because you'd actually be watching the Earth sort of
yeah,
deteriorate.
you'd get to exactly, you'd see the effect on that. You would see more of like the deteriorating health. Like I think his, I don't remember if his wife was dying or not, but like people are clearly getting sick, and her like slaving away on this thing and then finding out like, wait a minute, what do you mean the earth is like doomed and we're not going to be able to leave here? That betrayal hits harder. And then like showing her looking at the watch and then thinking back on like the other stuff, and us not knowing it's the father or not, just seeing her and she's looking at, she's like, the second hand is ticking really weirdly. Why is it doing this? And then her like looking at it and like studying it and being like, is it Morse code? And then transcribing the Morse code and like taking time to put two and two together. Like, oh my God, this is what it is, you know? And then thinking like it's this or whatever. Like that feels like a much more satisfactory payoff. And then like seeing the father in the end, like he was alive, he did make it. Like I agree. I think that would be like a stronger film and
Yeah.
easier to buy. And like we don't need to know like how he did it. We could just see like somehow the father
Yeah,
was able.
because I mean, part of the movie whole thing is that time is relative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, as long as you establish that, like Act One, and you sprinkle that like Act Two once or twice,
Yeah.
then by the time you get to the end of the movie, the fact that he's there, you're like, oh, time is relative,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you
Yeah.
get it,
And that love can span across
and that
time.
love is in fact quantifiable.
Quantifiable. But they try to explain too much. They try to show too much. They got like some astrophysicist Kip Thorne. This is the biggest reason argument I get for why I'm wrong for
They had
not.
an actual scientist on the movie and worked on the
Yeah,
script, so I don't know what your beef is. It's
literally, that is the argument I get every time I argue about why this movie is bad. They're like, I think you just only like Star Wars, those like action movies that don't have real science and are fake science. They got like a real scientist on here and you just didn't get it. And I'm like, literally, like I understand they got a real science and they were able to visualize a black hole in like such a good way that like it actually contributed back to science. I think that's cool. I think that's great. That's cool that they were able to try to like replicate it realistically. But just because you got real science behind it doesn't mean the story is going to be good, doesn't mean the
yeah,
execution is going to be good. I'm watching this movie not to learn about what a black hole really looks like, although it's great that you're able to put it in there. I'm watching a movie to see a story being told to me. And personally, I don't mind a deep space movie. I like deep science fiction. I think science fiction personally is a great medium to explore those deep themes and things like that. Like lots of science fiction short stories and long stories, whatever. There's like a lot of great things in there. There is like a short anime film that I saw called Millennium Rose or something like that, where or Magnetic Rose or something, where they go into space and there's like other weird time distortion stuff here, like reality gets distorted, whatever. That's really cool. That's like thought compelling. It's like creepy. It's weird, but it works. You know, there's clearly a deeper message that's just being told in a space opera sort of format, and I think a space opera can work. And but this did not make it work, and I hate being told you just didn't understand the science as dismissing my actual opinion on like the storytelling.
The narrative, yeah.
Yeah, because like if we explained it like the synopsis of like, oh, this guy was able to like I told you, like the base core story is not bad. Because when I read the synopsis, I was really interested. I was like, that's cool. I want to see that. I want to see this like time thing. Like the way we just described it would be a more compelling, in my opinion, more compelling way and more successful way of showing that. But the way they showed it was so poorly done. It tried to be really highbrow. And it's like, if you're going to be pretentious, at least stay there. Don't fucking shit the bed with your dialogue and go expositionville for literally 10 minutes. Like, oh, I got so mad. I got so mad. Like, yes, you can explain things. Like, Inception did a pretty good job of explaining the dream layers and everything because they were explaining it to Ellen Page and they were showing it while they were explaining it, and it made sense. It organically made sense because exposition isn't bad in and of itself. I'm sure you know this, you're a screenwriting person, but the way they did it was just so it was just so bad. Like they literally, oh, you could feel it just come to a halt, and it's just the robot is just telling you what is happening.
Matthew McConaughey, let me tell you what happened.
I feel like they didn't have the voiceover in the original screening. Then they test screened it, and everyone was really confused. So they were like, let's just put in a voiceover to narrate what's going on. And it feels so lazy. It feels so poorly done. And the love is quantifiable line. I'm like, what kind of bullshit line is this?
I want that during my I want you, if or when I ever get married, when you do your person of honor speech, I want you to end it with love is quantifiable. And your love for this person
is the highest quantity.
It's the highest quantity. And I'm just going to cry.
I can do that for you, Monze.
Thank you.
I'll do that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay.
Love is quantifiable. I don't know why this is an issue for you. I've been saying this for years, and everyone's been like, "What are you talking about?" And all of a sudden, Interstellar does it, and now it's cool, it's chic, and that will make sense.
The thing is, that line, a lot of people forget about that line. Like, I've brought that line up in arguing because it stood out to me because it was such a stupid fucking line. And I brought it up because the whole thing, too, it's like, it seems like circumstance, but it's actually completely planned out. And I fucking hate fifth dimensional space stories because for a while I hated them. They don't make any sense to me. And they only work because of the linear structure of a film, even though fifth dimensional time is not supposed to be experienced linearly, but you can't show... Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But that line I bring up, and in arguments, people are like, I don't think they said that. And I'm like, they absolutely said that. Like, and then watching this tape again, like, seeing him say it, I was like, I knew it! I knew he fucking said this stupid fucking line! I knew it!
Love is quantifiable.
Love is quantifiable. She's the chosen one. Like, shut up. Oh my... Oh, fuck you.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, that's the movie I hate the most. If you want a better time space travel movie with Matthew McConaughey, I'd like to recommend Contact.
How many space movies has he been in? He's been
in 2, but Contact he was in first, and it was made in like the 90s, and it's based on a Carl Sagan book. And I think Jodie Foster is in it. I think that's who it is. It's either her or Hilary Swank or somebody. But yeah, they're in it. And he actually plays like a religious guy, like a clergyman.
Ooh.
Yeah. I enjoyed him much more in that movie, and I enjoyed that movie as a whole much more than Interstellar.
You know, Jesus is quantifiable as well.
His love is quantifiable.
His love is quantifiable.
How do you even quantify love?
How do you
What's the equation? Also, what kind of fucked up... Like, this just proves that parents do not love their children equally.
Yeah, he didn't care about Timothée Chalamet. At all.
His son who, like, consistently...
Hey, Dad, I don't think you're alive. I don't know why I still do this. I miss you. And
Literally.
I love you.
He doesn't
also,
even...
this is my daughter. She's beautiful. She looks just like you, Dad. I miss you so much.
He doesn't even ask about his son. Like, when he wakes up, he doesn't even ask about his son. He goes straight to his daughter. He does not give two shits about his son. He doesn't try to talk to his son or anything. It's just only the daughter. I'm like, wow. This guy is out here protecting the farm because of his dad. He's out here having a family thinking about the dad. He's trying to grieve the dad and, like, still include him in... Oh my god. Like, dutifully sends him videos all the time, and the dad could not give two shits about, like, that is the only character I like in that whole movie besides maybe Anne Hathaway. Just because I like Anne Hathaway.
And I only like Anne Hathaway because she is Anne Hathaway. Had anyone else play this character?
Yeah, actually, literally. If anyone else, I'd be like, I don't care. But it's Anne Hathaway, so I'm like, ah.
Okay, what if you had exchanged the cast of Gravity with the cast of Interstellar?
Then that we'd have two bad movies, but I might like Gravity more because it's Anne Hathaway.
What did Sandra Bullock ever do to you?
I like Sandra Bullock, but not as much as Anne Hathaway.
Sandra Bullock was not Mia Thermopolis in Princess Diaries, so jot that down.
Sandra Bullock was not Ella in Ella Enchanted.
Ella Enchanted. She is not an icon of my generation.
Sandra Bullock's great, but Anne Hathaway has my heart. Yeah. So Monze, you've talked about your general thoughts.
Okay.
Still not a movie for you, which is understandable. I don't think this movie's for anybody except for more pretentious white film boys.
Okay.
So what rating would you give this movie?
I would give this movie a 5 out of 5 for how upset it makes you. I love watching you be super pissed off and angry. It's really great. But yeah, I don't know, 2, a 1, probably a 2.
This movie gets a 1 out of 10, and the 1 goes solely to Hans Zimmer because he went so hard on a soundtrack for a film that did not deserve it.
Wow.
The soundtrack is really good, but after watching the movie, it's colored the soundtrack for me where I can't, like, just enjoy it because I think of that movie and how terrible it was. So it's not even bad until that one scene, and that one scene ruins the entire movie because it's such like a plot pivotal scene. It ruins everything because it just exposes all the plot holes. Like, that scene is a plot hole, and it's so, oh my god, it's so bad. If you are listening and you like this movie for any reason that is not, I like it because it has Matthew McConaughey, or I like it because of the script, or I like it because of the science, and you disagree with me saying that scene is stupid as hell, let's meet in the comments. I will fight you.
We'll see you at the Target parking lot.
I will fight you. That scene is terrible. Because, like, I've met people who are like, I like this movie because of the science. Or I like this movie because I love Matthew McConaughey. I'm like, all right, but you do agree this scene was awful, right? And they're like, yes. I'm like, okay, then we can still be friends. But, yeah.
Interesting. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, the 1, it only goes to Hans Zimmer. It does not go to Christopher Nolan. Oh no, the one can be split. 0.8 for Hans Zimmer, 0.2 for Anne Hathaway.
0.2. 0.2 to Anne Hathaway.
0.2
okay.
to Anne Hathaway. Or maybe they can split it 50-50. I don't care. They can figure out how they want to split it. But that's the only point it gets. That's awful, god-awful movie. I hate it with every fiber in my being. So.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And if it's your favorite movie, I'm sorry.
If you're wrong.
You have bad taste.
You're just wrong.
Yeah. Think critically about the story.
Wow. Just Corinne going off.
I'm going off. This is a deal breaker for me.
Wow. She was considering everyone listening to this podcast as a possible partner. And if you like this movie, just walk away. Just turn this off, walk away, unsubscribe.
I don't even want your follow.
Well, you know what? Yeah. Don't contribute to this podcast.
I literally asked that question on like first or second date. Like, what are your thoughts on Interstellar? Like, I need to know.
Jesus Christ, just put it on your like dating profile. Hate it, Interstellar. Do not talk to Interstellar fan.
Do not interact.
Do not interact. Wow. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yelled about that movie more times than I'd care to admit, but I will admit.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think if there's a movie that I absolutely hate, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
You don't like West Side Story, but I've seen West Side Story. Napoleon Dynamite.
Look, my thing about West Side Story is this. Okay, first of all, you've got a bunch of white people playing Puerto Rican. Secondly,
you got one Puerto Rican playing a Puerto Rican.
Yeah, Rita Moreno. Is Rita Moreno Puerto Rican?
Well, you got one Latina playing a Puerto Rican, I should say. I don't know.
Is she? Oh yeah, she is Puerto Rican. Okay. I thought so, but then I was like, wait a minute, maybe
she's the best part of the movie. Not.
She's the only thing that's good about this movie.
Yeah.
Secondly, okay, I'm sorry, but in the opening sequence when they have like the Jets and the Sharks fighting each other, and like the Puerto Ricans are running away from the white people, like we would be running away because white people suck. But in a fight, the Puerto Ricans would win. I'm sorry, but they would win. And then secondly, it's like you've got two gangs and they're singing and dancing. And it's not even like in a macho way.
I know.
Like, I can't. Like, I love musicals. Did you know Steven Spielberg is making another West Side Story?
Do you think he'll cast actual Puerto Ricans this time?
I think so. I can't remember. I know they're at least Latino. I don't know if the main girl, because I remember seeing the main girl, and I think I don't know if she's Puerto Rican or not. But I was like, why? We don't need to remake this. Like, we don't need to remake this. Like, it's just
I feel like at the very least you gotta update it.
Yeah.
I don't think the ethnicities track as much anymore.
Probably not. I mean, I don't know.
And
I don't think Romeo and Juliet is a good story. I have never thought Romeo and Juliet was a good story.
Well, the thing about Romeo and
Shakespeare, but it's
not like the star-crossed lovers. It's like family fucking up with two people that like each other. Like, that's the point of the story. Which
it's like a huge drama.
Makes sense, especially if one is not white and the other is, because there is an established power, like, race dynamic there, which makes the Puerto Ricans more sympathetic, even though in the original story, both houses are being petty. But then they're trying to present West Side Story as both gangs are equally as bad. But it's like, no, because white privilege exists.
Yeah, you're always going to see the Puerto Rican one as worse because naturally, quote unquote, naturally, you're like, well, obviously they're worse because they're a minority.
Yeah, that's how the film is going to show you. But then if you're watching it from like a quote unquote woke perspective, the Puerto Ricans actually like, no, they make sense. The Italians are worse. So it's like they're not on even ground, no matter how you're watching it. Because one of them is either societally going to be seen as worse, which would be the Puerto Ricans, or the other is going to be like, well, systemically, you benefit more than the Puerto Ricans do, so you have no grounds, you know, like, you're worse. So it might be interesting if you had two minorities.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Even then, it's tricky. It has to be two petty families. Like Romeo and Juliet.
I love Romeo and Juliet. Oh my god.
That
Don't
made
come
sense.
to my house and start talking about Romeo and Juliet.
I'm not shitting on them. I'm saying that made sense because it was petty.
I know. I love that movie. It's so good.
It got the essence of it.
It really did. Because it really is just for the dumbest reason, right? Like, it's the flower or the toilet or whatever issue it is. Like, it's just, you've got different colored hats and we have to, like, it's just the dumbest. Yeah.
Yeah. That, Romeo and Juliet versus West Side Story. Romeo and Juliet is more faithful to Shakespeare Romeo's and Juliet story than West Side Story is. The only thing I like about West Side Story is the music.
I feel pretty.
No, not that
also
one. I only
pretty.
Like
I feel pretty and witty and gay, and I pity any fool who doesn't feel this way. Oh my god! Please don't keep that in there. Edit. Trying to suggest you cut. Okay, so what do we want to do for next time?
Next time, it would be a movie both of us haven't seen.
Okay, so let's sign out because now it's been like
all right. So next week we're going to see Big. As always, you can leave recommendations down in the comments below, as well as, I guess, I don't know, whatever you want. Let us know your favorite space movie.
Star Wars.
So thanks for listening to another episode of We Don't Watch Movies. You can find us at We Don't Watch Movies Podcast at gmail.com or on Twitter at Don't Watch Movies. Monze, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Magic Monster. Magic Monster.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Corinne is Korean. So that's 1 R and 2 N's.
And don't look for me on Instagram because I don't really post a lot.
She really doesn't.
I'm inconsistent because someone told me I should only post really good photos on there. So
he told you that 6 years ago.
and Corinne, she just posts whatever garbage picture she wants. She has no standards. So
thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.